Dank Pod Stash Hot Tokes number 8. Before we get started talking about everyone's favorite thing to talk about since last Thursday, the 2nd, Iran, let me say real quick, there's some exciting shit going down in Louisiana. So if you're in Louisiana or you can make it down to Louisiana, we got coup de grace, and I'm going to read what they sent me here. It's Anarchy in the Agora comes to Louisiana through coup de grace, the freest, most decentralized Mardi Gras celebration around. Who's running it? You are. Join us for a wild bash of color and craziness with other anarchists and agorists. So for questions on destination, feel free to message agorafestival@protonmail.com or chat with them on the official Telegram group. And I'll put those links and the email address in the comments if you're interested in going to a pretty cool anarchist Agora Fest for Mardi Gras. It's called Coup de Grace. The first wave, January 6th through the 20th, so I believe that started today. And I know it's not popping off too hard yet, but it's going to be wave 2 is February 14th through the 28th, and then the Mardi Gras is on the 25th. So that's right in the middle of wave 2. So you should definitely check that out. It looks like fun. Dank Podstash is sponsoring part of that. You'll see us on the banner there. So make sure to shout out Dank Podstash to anybody you see there if you make it there. They'll be joined by other Agorist business and local punk groups. And if you want to host an event on there like we're doing here at the Dank Podstash, no need to ask for spots. Just let people know. So I'll put that Agora Festival at protonmail.com and the Telegram group in the show description here. Get on that. Go there, sponsor it, get your business out there, whatever. Should be sweet. So now on to the show. Daniel, Iran, you've been fired up, man. I've been fired up too, but you argue with people more than I do, I think. I've been kind of jumping back into it because...
Yes. No, it's man, it's been a crazy week, crazy few days.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was last Thursday, the 2nd, when
right.
When the airstrike happened, and they assassinated Qasem Soleimani. So, and apparently it's illegal by all U.S. law, and just a kind of ridiculous thing.
There's been a lot of lies, certainly coming from both sides of the aisle here in the U.S., but and I'm sure nobody is telling the whole truth, but it's been interesting to see people justifying these actions and justifying killing of innocents. That's not to say that this Soleimani is innocent at all,
right?
But
no, he's probably a bad dude.
There are definitely people justifying, right?
Probably a bad dude.
I think
and also, a fucking statist, which, I don't understand why, what the stance that some anarchists are taking on this, where that's coming from. It's like, yeah, he should be killed.
Right.
And for what? Like, fucking, why is our government still over there in the Middle East? They kicked all the shit off over there. That's another thing that people aren't admitting, because it's true. And we destabilized the region. We installed a dictator years and years and years ago who ruled there for 26 years. And it's all after oil, like usual, oil and control of the region. So, and they decide not to trade in the dollar, which is, backed by oil, and but that undermines the U.S. and its interests. And so when they don't want to, play along with a central bank like that, the U.S. comes in and installs a new regime. Yeah,
or at least tries to, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was in 2017 that Iran decided to switch to euro notes instead of the dollar, the petrodollar, for trades.
Right.
And we got articles on pretty much everything we're going to talk about or have already talked about, and I'll post all those in the show description. That one's interesting. I mean, if you don't know what the fuck happened already, you're not paying attention. So I don't think we need to go over a whole lot. Real quick, there was a U.S. embassy in Iran that a militia group supposedly attacked. And you know, it didn't even look like a militia group. It looked like a bunch of people throwing fucking rocks.
It was just as my understanding, it's a bunch of protesters, and it escalated, and I keep hearing conflicting reports, like they attacked this embassy, but then they attacked a building that was near the embassy or something like that. And it's like, so nobody's telling the whole story here. They're saying that it was Iran that orchestrated this whole thing, yet there's no connection. So even though, and apparently it took place in Iraq. So it's like, what's really going on, you know?
Yeah, the assassination took place in Iraq, but the embassy was in Iran. Right. And yeah.
Oh, was the embassy in Iran? I thought the embassy
so.
Was also in Iraq.
I might be wrong. I thought the embassy was in Iran. Look at us, already fucking it up. You want to look that up real quick while I monologue? But yeah, either way, I don't. Yes. If Soleimani was in fucking Iraq and got killed near the airport, and the attack had already happened, the attack, quote unquote, had already happened in the embassy. I don't understand how he's supposed to have been behind that attack, because it was just not very long before his assassination. But either way, it's ridiculous. I have a theory. I have been seeing a couple articles floating around about Soleimani, blasting Trump. I don't know what social media. I don't know if it was Twitter or what, but he was posting some, I guess, fire memes making fun of Trump, which is hilarious. That high-ranking Middle Eastern, Iranian general posting memes pissing off Trump.
We're going to be taken out. We're going to be taken out.
Well, I got it exactly. I mean, I would not put it past Trump to say, like, fucking kill that guy. He would do that to people here if he could, I'm sure, which is why I don't post certain memes that I send you.
And as the missile's coming in, I'm going to be sending them. I'm going to be sending more. I'm like, here it comes.
It's a funny theory, but it's also, I think it has at least a grain of truth, because Trump has that ego. I think you would definitely right. Get that butt hurt over something. Okay, so now what really pisses me off, well, before I move on to what really pisses me off, did you end up looking up where the embassy was?
I'm looking that up right now.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Can you show me how to run this VCR?
Yeah. Stop typing it in Facebook. Put it in DuckDuckGo.
Wait, I gotta close down the porn here.
My money's on that it was in Iran.
Sorry.
But the fucking thing that pisses me off then is that Trump announced, I think on Twitter, I don't even think it was an actual official announcement, and then doubled down in the press.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Okay, so it looks like this siege happened in Baghdad.
Oh, so the embassy was in Baghdad.
So the embassy was in Baghdad. The story from the U.S. is that it was Iranians orchestrated by this
Iranian militia,
Soleimani.
Yeah.
Right, and but it took place in Iraq, and it's like this was it was a protest that escalated, and
sure.
They're trying to and now conservatives are trying to compare it to Benghazi, and it's like, no, this is not even close. Stop.
No. It was. I saw pictures from the attack in video, and it's like it's not even. It's barely gunfire, if anything. It's ridiculous. But and there were no American casualties either, and so that's a ridiculous thing.
Right.
Not that justifies anything, because we shouldn't be fucking over there with embassies anyways. But it's just ridiculous that they called in a precision airstrike on high-ranking officials of another country in response to that. It's pretty obvious that the government wants to go to fucking war. But the thing that I was saying that really pisses me off is that Trump in a tweet and then doubled down with the press, saying that among the targets that he's going after in Iran are a lot of their their cultural sites that are very important to them. Not even military targets, cultural sites. It's like, what the fuck is this? That is completely wrong. And
there's no doubt that this will get innocents killed.
Yeah, innocents killed, and he's going after their culture as well. And it's completely ridiculous. But Iran is winning the war as far as class goes for this, because their head of state made an announcement saying that we're not going after American citizens. He addressed American citizens, the American people, saying, we don't want to hurt you. We want to take out Trump and the government. They want to hit military and strategic assets, and made it very clear they're not interested.
Which is why they
in going after civilians, which is fuck, man. Like, if governments are going to fight wars, fight each other.
An $80 million. Yeah, they offered an $80 million bounty on Trump's head, which is like, ooh, huh.
Yeah, okay. big money, Boogaloo money. But yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, they did put a bounty out on Trump, and then there was one other thing I had here that I can't fucking remember.
Breaking news. Mike Pence has now taken over presidency.
Yeah, that's right. No, the other thing I wanted to talk about was that since this all went down, Iraq voted to expel U.S. troops from Iraq, from their country. Mm-hmm. And I saw a letter going around from, what was it, the Department of Justice or something like that? I can't remember. Whoever was responding to their request for withdrawal of troops, saying that they were going to indeed withdraw U.S. troops from Iraq. And I was skeptical at first because it looked like a fucking cell phone picture of someone holding the paper. I was like, is that how the government, releases this information now? They don't put out a statement other than that, but apparently it was confirmed by Reuters. So hopefully that's good enough. I'm not sure, but I guess it's good we're getting out of there, but I'm sure they'll be shipping those guys over to Iran anyways. How many did you sent me the thing about how many people the U.S. is sending over to Iran now, right?
Is it 3,000 troops?
At least
3,000, 4,000 troops or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just talked to a friend today, and he said that his brother is actually going over to Kuwait now. So they're sending more people over there to, obviously surround the place. And I mean, this is clearly an attempt to gain
50 billion barrels of oil is what it's an attempt to gain.
Right. But this is to generate sympathy and generate this patriotism. I mean, Trump has he still has a lot of support, but he's lost a lot of support, especially after what's come out after this impeachment and everything, which is still not over with. But this is just clearly an attempt to distract and gain this popularity. George Bush did it, after 9/11, we knew who was responsible, or they told us who was responsible, yet we invaded Iraq. So it's like, what's going on here? They do the same thing, and sure enough, George Bush was reelected because it was too dangerous to put anybody else in office.
Right.
And that's what they do. They play on your fear. And Trump will say the same thing.
And it's so let's talk about trying to actually talk to people about this, trying to convince people not to support war. It's worse now trying to do that than I think it ever has been. The people who are supporting this war, I don't even care anymore about trying to change their mind. They're bootlicking fucking idiots. They don't care about anyone that could potentially die, even if it's people here. They don't care about the troops that they fucking worship. Right. They don't care about innocents over there. They don't care about anything. They say straight out, when you back them into a corner, about why it's illegitimate and that we shouldn't be there, even if you're not talking about it from an anarchist sense. They'll straight up tell you, I don't care, fucking nuke them. Those are pretty much verbatim
Right.
this thing I sent you earlier when I posted about this. And
right, and I ran into that quite a bit this weekend. You know, in the arguments that I got into, and it's like how can you debate that once you can shut them down? It's so easy to shut them down. You can present facts and logic and the history of what's been going on there. It doesn't. I mean, we clearly, the U.S. clearly started. I hate saying we, because this is the U.S. government, not us. You know, not you and me. You and I and people like you and me, we've never done anything like this, and this is not our fight. And so yes, but it was the U.S. government that started this, and they started it a long time ago. And you can present them with these facts, but then when backed into a corner, they're just like, I don't care. I don't care. Nuke the whole place.
Yep.
And it's like, there are women and children. They're like, so what? They call them animals and dogs, and it's like, is this a race thing? What's going on here?
Yeah, could be racism. I think it's more tribalism, and I also think it's just the general state of people and why we can't have, freedom, why we can't have why we can't lessen coercion, why we can't live in a voluntary society, is because people don't fucking care about themselves or anybody else. And that you need to care about yourself and be responsible for yourself and care about other people too. That's just part of existing. But it's, in my opinion, I know we disagree on this, but religion and government both have taken that away or out of the minds of people, or allowed people to just discard it, not necessarily even taking it away. It's allowed people to discard it. But I don't totally disagree. I think that, especially seeing like these evangelicals that surround Trump, I think they've definitely they have definitely mixed the two. I see danger when you mix the two. I don't necessarily see a danger with religion, but I do see a danger when you mix the two, like these people do. And I mean, they're psycho. It's crazy how cultish they are. Yeah, absolutely. And what this little rant, this second rant started out was, blame. Who's to blame? And I found a really cool fucking article called "Who Started It: A Reverse Timeline of U.S.-Iran Retaliations" that was written by Major Danny Scherson, USA retired. And it's interesting because I was reading it and I hadn't read who it was by. I read the whole thing and I got to the bottom and said that he was military retired. And I could just see in my head bringing up the points that he made, which, before I go any further, it's a really good timeline of U.S. and Iran relations and who actually started it. Fucking shocker, the U.S. started it a long fucking time ago, and there's been accelerating events ever since then. But I was just reading through this and thinking about using it as ammo when I'm arguing with people, trying to convince them to be anti-war. I can totally see people saying, "Well, is that written by some kind of goddamn liberal?" And it's like, no, it was written by a former military. So that's perfect for you. You should love that, right? Because it's written by former military.
Right.
And they'll come up with some other excuse. But I'll definitely post this one in the description too. There's going to be a fuck ton of articles in this description because there's a lot of good stuff. But fair warning, like we're saying, people won't care. Seconds after I posted this article on the Dank Podstash Facebook page, I clicked on another person's post talking about this. He got called a Muslim for arguing against this. His name is Jason Clements. He's white as fuck. And someone's like, "You must be a Muslim." I'm like, holy shit. And I mean, not
only
that you can't
a Muslim would say those things. You should leave.
Not that you can't be a white Muslim, but I mean white as fuck. Like, looks like a country dude and posts memes and that are not, Muslim memes or anything like that. And it's just like, Jesus. But maybe it wasn't him. That was somebody else. He did get called a Muslim, but it was somebody else's post that I was on that posted an article talking to someone who accused him of defending Iran. And the person's exact response was exactly what I said when I posted this article to the Dank Podstash Facebook page. They said, I really don't care what happens there. And they spelled there wrong, of course. And they said they can blow Iran they can blow Iran off the earth. And they spelled off wrong, which is pretty typical for these arguments. But
did they use all caps?
No, not all caps. They actually all lowercase and no punctuation. And there was there was possessive, and off was spelled of. So yeah, but that's almost exactly what always happens, up to and including the misspelling, because these people are mouth breathing morons.
Right. It's amazing. It's amazing to see it. Like, you and I are in a group that's just full of conservatives. It's a Joe Rogan group, and I love posting in there just to see the triggered conservatives, and you know that. You can attest to that. But and then I burn myself.
Hold up a second.
Because I get into so many arguments in there. And go ahead.
No, you were cutting out real quick. Say that again. You burn yourself out because you get into so many arguments?
Yeah, I burn myself out because I get into so many arguments, and I'm sure you can attest to that. But
oh yeah,
yeah,
there's memes made about it.
But it's quite amazing to see like how ignorant people are. They really believe that, and again, I don't justify any government in the world.
Right.
I don't believe in the existence of the state. I don't legitimize the existence of the state, and that includes Iran. And I'm sure that Iran is just as tyrannical as the U.S. But in this situation, but when it comes to war, innocent people always die, and so that is why I'm against this. If governments fought governments, I probably wouldn't say much. If governments only fought governments, but right. That's not the case, and there will be indiscriminate killing of women and children. And you point out the history of Iran and how we tried to occupy it. What does this article say here? Oh no, I'm sorry. The United States lied to occupy its way into Iraq 17 years ago, which was that was during Bush, correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, 17 years ago would have been 03, so that would have been George W., right?
Yeah. And then in this article here, I'm reading there's 9 things that if I can go through this really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, there's 9 things that Americans need to know about this assassination and the occupation of Iraq. So yeah, number 1 was the United States lied its way into occupying Iraq 17 years ago. They claimed weapons of mass destruction, and we all know that Iraq was, Saddam Hussein was evil, but the death toll from innocents did not justify what happened there. And anyway, the United States lied their way there. Apparently, this Soleimani, he was in Iraq, but he died less than 100 miles from Iran's border.
Yes.
In this airstrike. And they share like a 905 mile border, about half the length of U.S. and Mexico border. And my understanding, he was on his way back to Iran.
From what I hear, he was there with meetings with the Iraqi government and military, right?
Right. And so somehow the U.S. has tied him to these protests that escalated and supposedly attacked this U.S. embassy in Baghdad. The other, number 3, is the United States has Iran completely surrounded with military bases. Like, I love that meme that says like, what whoever made that meme, that's spot on. It's like, look at Iran. Look how they put their country right next to the U.S. military bases. You know, they're threatening us. So
look how close they put their country to our military bases. It's clearly a threat.
It's great. Exactly.
Right.
Soleimani led the fight to eradicate Daesh or ISIS in that region. He was the guy who was put in place to go after the terrorists. He did not like ISIS, and yet somehow he's like this like top guy out all of a sudden. And I have to say something else. Nobody knew his name before this happened.
Well, and most of these people still don't know his name.
Right.
Call him fucking Quentin Salami or something like that.
Queso Salami.
Yeah, Queso Salami. That's what the memes are saying. The one with Donald Trump getting scared of the eagle.
Quesadilla salami.
He's saying, "Hey Alexa, where can I get a good quesadilla salami?" And it says, "Okay, sending missiles to Qasem Soleimani."
Right. Let's see here. Yeah, so he was part of this coalition to help defeat ISIS in that region.
Right.
And suddenly he's like this top of like the US's hit list or whatever.
I'm telling you, dude, it's because of his fire memes that he was posting about Trump. There's no other explanation. I really think that's a part of it, for real.
All right. So what you're saying is that tomorrow, after I get bombed, the whole world will know Daniel Johnson.
Make sure to send them to me before you post them, so that we have records of the fire.
And then they'll take a picture of my ring.
Yeah. That's an interesting one too. The ring on that you sent me, the ring on the supposed dead body of Soleimani, is not the same ring as he's wearing in different pictures, even though it's supposed to be the same ring. I'm not saying he changed rings. It's the same stone, same style, but it's a different setting for the stone in the ring, and they're trying to make it look like his. I don't know. I don't want to corrupt this with crazy conspiracy theories, if that is or not, but something to look at.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he's dead. Iran has verified that he's dead. The U.S. has said that he's dead. So I'm sure he's dead. The issue is, why this happened. I mean, this would be no different than like General Mattis going to Canada, and on his way back he gets an airstrike from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though and some U.S. embassy or some Iranian embassy in Canada got attacked. Right. And who knows who did it, but Iran, went ahead and did an airstrike on General Mattis. I mean, this is the equivalent to that.
The other thing,
the U.S. would lose its mind.
Oh, absolutely. And well, what two brain cells are left rubbing together as far as the U.S. is concerned? But the other stupid thing I keep saying is about the attack on the embassy. People are saying that's American soil. We can't allow that to happen. And it's like, would you consider it not American soil if Iran had embassies and bases here? Like that kind of thing. Would you allow Iran? Like, how would you feel if Iran had bases along the Canadian and Mexican border? Like, what the fuck? It's just, there's no consistency.
Right.
And
I'm so sick of that. Like, it's like embassies shouldn't exist. Okay. The government is illegitimate. Therefore its embassies are illegitimate.
We have the internet now. You fucking boomers.
Making that argument.
We don't need a fucking building. You can just fucking video chat and figure it out. But, real quick, it's about oil. That's what I was going to say. It's fucking about oil. It's always been about fucking oil. And the spoiler from that article that I really liked that I posted is from anit-war.com, putting the blame where it belongs, on who started it. It's the U.S., and it was
clearly a Muslim wrote that.
But in 1941, Tehran declared neutrality in the World War, and Russia and Britain jointly invaded and occupied the country to secure control of its oil reserves. Shocker. Like people have been doing for years and years and
Right.
years. And in 1953, they had a democratically elected prime minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, and he nationalized Iranian oil, which obviously pissed off the West because it was under Western corporate control. And the CIA coordinated a coup with M16 from Britain to overthrow the government. And so it says here the dictatorial Shah was promptly put in power and ruled with an iron fist for the next 26 years. And ever since then, it's been back and forth, retaliation, fighting over the fucking
Right.
oil over there. And now there's 50 billion new barrels. It's like, come on. How can anybody argue for this and pretend they don't know that's what it's about and that innocent people aren't going to get killed?
No. This is still Obama's fault.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's every president's...
I keep hearing that one too.
From
I keep
whoever
hearing
the
that one,
first
too. It's
president
like,
to
oh
fuck
my
with
gosh.
Iran is up until now, it's every one of their fucking faults.
My favorite one is the meme. It's like, sir, it's President Washington.
The Ottoman
He
Empire
said-
is
somebody says, like,
becoming
yeah, the Ottoman
something
Empire.
crazy. It's like, who the fuck cares about the Ottoman Empire?
He's like, yeah, he's like, who gives a shit about the Middle East?
Yeah. So it should be. Fuck it.
That's a good one. Yeah, exactly. But let's see here. There's a few more here.
Okay.
Number 6 is the U.S. has not stopped airstrikes and deploying troops even after this assassination. Troops are going well. Right. So apparently, what that picture you sent me of that letter. Apparently, the U.S. has said that they will comply with Iraq's directive to withdraw troops. So I don't know what their gameplay is. 4D chess.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens there. It's interesting to see. Soleimani and Iran were never planning an attack on Americans. This is the other one I keep hearing is he continually traveled outside of its Iran's borders to kill Americans. It's like there is no evidence of that.
I've heard people say that Iran was behind 9/11 since this.
Oh yeah, Pence made that claim. So that's the other one. Soleimani and Iran had nothing to do with 9/11. So Pence, this says, given Vice President Pence's recent Twitter rant, this apparently needs to be said. Iran had nothing to do with 9/11. They didn't train, aid, or assist any of the hijackers. On the contrary, many of the 19 hijackers did have questionable links to Saudi Arabia, not to mention families of the 9/11 victims are still waging a seemingly futile court battle against the Saudi Arabian government for its role in the attack. So this is a weapons of mass destruction line. If we can link these guys to 9/11, it's like the whole Iran is not the whole Middle East. Iran is not Saudi Arabia. It's totally different. Let's see here. And then 9, Americans can't understand what Soleimani meant to Iran. Let's see here. It's safe to say that the United States does not have a coherent ideological system beyond free market capitalism and colonialism. I won't get into that, but
retarded.
Right. But like again, this is equivalent to, so if General Mattis had been assassinated up in Canada, like this would be the equivalent to that, and you can guarantee that the United States would lose their minds over it. So anyway,
yeah. To your point on number 8, mentioning Saudi Arabia, I found an article that's going around again, and it's from 2017, linking Israel and Saudi Arabia as working together to keep the region destabilized and make an actual war happen. So I'll post that in the description too. I'll try to tag, there's 2 articles I think from 2017. I'll try to remember to label those that they're from 2017, but they are still relevant, and the rest are from the last few days. So All right, we know this is about war. We know it's bullshit. There's an article even about how to was it not fall into the or how to avoid swallowing war propaganda or whatever. That's the one you read right now, right? So,
all right.
Yeah, read the articles.
But yeah, again, with those nine points that I just brought up, like, you can bring those up, but again, but like you brought up at the beginning, like, there are people that are, you bring these up, you can dismantle their arguments so easily with these facts and this logic, but they're now just coming out and saying, I don't care, nuke the whole place, turn it into a piece of glass. It's dangerous thinking, and it's
disgusting.
For me, it's deeply disturbing. Exactly.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, don't fall into the traps. We're not about war. We know that. Anarchists aren't about war. Not like this. So, all right. Yeah, if you're watching this and it's Wednesday, that means that you're enjoying another Hot Tokes. And if you'd enjoyed a lot, this one's damn near a half podcast. If you want to support the show and keep us making this stuff for just $1 a month on Patreon, you can get this on Monday. If you're watching this on Monday, you're already supporting us, and we appreciate that. If you're not in a spot to support the show financially, totally fine. Do me a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, all that shit, and throw a thumbs up or a comment or something. You can support the show without giving me money, but if you do give me money, I won't waste it. I'll make the show better, and I'd really appreciate it. So, everybody, thanks for watching Hot Tokes number 8. Especially thank you, Daniel, for joining me for Hot Tokes. Your check's in the mail.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.